are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday, July 11th. This is The Issue podcast, and it's a great day. This is one of my favorite days of the year. It is the first divisional prediction episode of the season. So we will have no more downtime until NFL starts, and we will have football to predict for this season, which I think is the most interesting.
I would agree. I mean, what was it, 9 weeks now away from opening day? 10 weeks, something like that?
Yeah.
It's coming up. I can't wait for it. Yeah, like you said, first week of the divisional predictions. NFC West this week.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty excited about that. We always keep the same order. Don't ask why.
I was just going to say, because I think the first time we just started throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck.
And it did. It stuck.
Sure.
So we're going to start with the NFC West this week. But the show plan, we're going to start with Tim's rant like we normally do this week on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are going to be the subject of discussion. I think if you're a Steelers fan, you're not going to like this. He's pretty excited for the rant. Usually means it's going to be pretty fiery. We're going to finish the first segment with hits and misses, and then getting into the second, of course, the home of the divisional predictions, the NFC West today, and then we're going to wrap things up with a discussion on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and then we will get into last call. This week we are, drafting cookies? Favorite cookies?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take it.
Huge cookie guy.
Yeah, it'll be good. The drafts are always entertaining, we'll say that. So that'll be at the very tail end of the show there to cap things off. But guys, thanks for joining us no matter how you are. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app. And you can also watch the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Prime Video. We appreciate it no matter how you're watching. Thank you for watching. This is The Issue.
Yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off. Like you mentioned, well, let's talk about the Steelers. So some news dropped Monday. Cam Sutton, the DB that they signed, was a Steeler, then became a Lion, then decided to evade law enforcement for, a couple months, and now has since re-signed with the Steelers, has been suspended for 8 games without pay. Now you're saying, okay, cool, without pay, so the Steelers really it ain't that bad. You don't have to pay him. They're not paying him anyway, and now you're only going to have to pay him for half a year. Because he was suspect last year in terms of actual on-field play, breaking the law aside. We'll get to that in a second. Sutton was not a good player last year with the Lions, and the entire secondary was bad. So does that play into it? Maybe. I don't know. It's a little bit better when you're the second, third, or fourth best player in the secondary, as opposed to getting paid to come in and be one of the top 2 guys. So did that maybe impact his numbers? Sure, but he was just downright a bad player last year. So again, aside from the fact that he broke the law. Now let's bring that into it, right? Domestic violence, I think girlfriend, wife, something like that, then evades authorities for like a month and a half, is on the run. Nobody knows where he's at. The Lions are like, we don't know where he's at. Authorities are like, we don't know where he's at. Nobody knows where he's at. Boom, he appears. And then he appears in like a week later. The Steelers are like, that's our guy right there. That's the guy that we want opposite Joey Porter. That's our guy to be the DB to help in a needy defensive backfield. To me, it's not the fact that he's missing 8 games. It's not the fact that your number 2 corner is a suspect type guy off the field. It's what that indicates to me. This team just doesn't have it. This team just is not a real life serious organization that you actually have to think about in terms of the Super Bowl bubble. They're just not. They're just not. Their coach is a pretender. The team is they're all pretenders. Last year, Kenny Pickett was a pretender. The entire offensive line, they were improved. Sure they were. They were pretenders. George Pickens is a pretender. He'll make a couple big plays, take the next 14 off, make a big catch, take a couple plays off. This team doesn't actually have what it takes to make a deep playoff run. Not even close. Not even close. Oh, well, Mike Tomlin loves him. He thinks he's got great character. He's got great character. That's why they brought Cam Sutton in, and he can work with these guys. He when it counts and when it matters, he's the guy. I would tend to disagree. I said this when they extended him. I wouldn't have extended him. I think his time in Pittsburgh should be over. I think some things just run their course. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he is a bad football coach. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's been a failure with the Steelers. By no means is that the case. Ton of winning seasons. They've sold out a lot of stadiums. He's made this organization a ton of money. They won a Super Bowl. They got to another. Absolutely not a failure. Build him a statue if you want. I think that'd be a little much. But name something after him, and let's go ahead and move on. Let's get younger. Let's get offensive. But no, they re-sign him. Let's go ahead and compare him. I love to play this game. It's the blind coach resume or the blind player resume, blind quarterback. I've done this with a couple positions, before. So let's go ahead and play the blind coach resume. Let's look at Coach A and Coach B. You'll see it on your screen here. For those listening, I'll give you a little synopsis here. Coach A is 8-14 against plus 500 teams. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. This is the last 2 years, by the way, over the last 2 football seasons. Losses versus sub 500 teams, 3 and 0 division titles. Coach B, on the other hand, 12-7 versus 500-plus teams. Playoff records 1-2, 2 losses versus sub 500 teams, and he has won the division once in the last 2 years. So you'd be like, well, Coach B is better in every category, so I would probably go ahead and go with Coach B, right? Well, actually, Coach B is Mike McCarthy, and Coach A is Mike Tomlin. And Mike McCarthy is thought of as on the hot seat. Mike McCarthy's on a 1-year prove-it deal. Mike Tomlin just got an extension for the Steelers, and Mike McCarthy's with the Cowboys, and they're both like America's team, big brand, so comparable there. Now, granted, the Rooneys aren't the stature or legacy of a Jerry Jones, you could argue, but nonetheless, similar big brands, high expectations. One is a veteran quarterback, the other one, just kind of got rid of a younger quarterback, but had Big Ben for many years. Pretty interesting when you look at the numbers. I am out on the Pittsburgh Steelers this upcoming football season. That is the synopsis of this rant. I don't think they're going to be a very good football team. I think they are going to scrape to an 8-9 record, maybe. I think it's a sub 500 team. And like I said, for the record, I think the Cowboys are a sub 500 team. I think they're probably slightly better than Pittsburgh. If I had to put numbers on it, I'd say Pittsburgh's a 7-win team. Dallas is an 8-win team. I don't see it. I think this whole noise with Cam Sutton is not about just Cam Sutton in a vacuum. It's indicative of a larger issue in this organization, and that's that they just can't be taken seriously as an NFL organization, that it actually has aspirations to win beyond the first round of the playoffs. And even then, they can't do that for the last half decade. So this is not an organization that you really, truly take seriously when you think about playoffs and year after year success and sustained playoff success and actual threat to win the AFC. This isn't a real organization. They shouldn't be taken seriously in the AFC. They haven't been in a couple years, and I don't think that's going to change going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bleak. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not like I feel like I'm objective enough to at least see the writing on the walls. Do I think this one signing is going to absolutely sink the team? No, but I think it's like you said, it's a product of the larger issue. A solid, stable franchise doesn't sign a guy like this. They don't even waste their time with the drama that's going to create, with the noise that's going to create. Well, you don't see Kansas City doing that. You don't see Buffalo doing that. You don't see Miami doing that. You don't see San Francisco doing that.
How desperate do you have to be in the secondary for that to be a real option?
But you could have addressed it elsewhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
how bad does it get to where you're just like, oh, our only option is to sign Cam Sutton?
To sign an active criminal.
Correct. He was like just got done being on the run.
Yes.
Yeah. How bad does that have to get?
Evidently pretty bad. I guess, not winning a playoff game in 10 years bad? That bad?
I don't know. What was the iPhone the last time the Steelers won a playoff game? Like the 4S?
Probably like the 5C.
I don't even know.
Something like that?
The 5C sounds right. I had a yellow one with a black case, black and gold.
Yeah, to support.
Yeah, so maybe it was then. Maybe it was the 5C.
Okay. Either way,
it's ridiculous.
We will dive more into the Steelers as we get closer to the season, and of course when we get to the AFC North for the divisional predictions there, it'll be evident our thoughts of Pittsburgh. So let's move in. Let's get hits and misses here on Thursday.
All right, hit number one here. Cam Newton telling, I think it was on a podcast, I forget who he told, but it says that Lamar Jackson is the best dual-threat quarterback ever, which we know I'm a huge Lamar guy, so we'll take it as a small hit. But I think this opens up a larger discussion because I agree that right now, and probably in the last decade, he probably is the best dual-threat quarterback. But my question is what defines dual threat? Because I think he's the best running quarterback, but that diminishes his ability to throw. And I've always said I think he's an underrated passer. He's not great, but he's underrated. He's gotten better each year. Because my question is like, is Mahomes a dual threat quarterback? Because I think of like the best. Sure. Then I would say Mahomes is the best. But it's like it's that weird fine line between like dual threat, running, pocket, but moves a little bit. Like there's three terms like mobile, dual threat, and like running. Where do you put the line on each of those is my question, because I agree that Mahomes is probably a dual threat, which means Lamar wouldn't be the best, but Lamar's the best running quarterback.
Right, that's why I would probably classify him as, I would say, he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks, and I'd say he runs the best out of any of those dual threat quarterbers. Like,
I think that's fair. So, like, of that subcategory of quarterbacks, dual threat, he's the best at the running portion of the dual.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I would also say, like, if we're going dual threat, probably in the same general vein as Mahomes, who was more of a pass-first guy, but moved when he needed to, so the yards weren't there, the stats weren't there, but the significance of the runs, Steve Young, like with the Niners, right? I know we were too young to actually watch him, but you go back, you know, and watch all that type of stuff like I do. He was that guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Opens up a lot of different discussions, but I think right now he's the best running quarterback. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. All right, awesome. Mr. One here, and this is actually a hit for you. This is just a miss for me personally here because it gets worse every time I check NFL news. I thought Bryce Young was going to be better than C.J. Stroud. I did a film review on C.J. Stroud. I said he's good, but he's just a very basic quarterback. I don't think he's a special prospect. I thought Bryce Young was that guy. I thought he was going to be special. I liked the arm. I liked the mobility. Didn't realize he was like 5'4". Probably should have done my homework on that. That's my bad. Won't make that mistake again. But either way,
I think you're making it right now.
You go on. No. I would if I'm allowed to switch sides, I would be a team CJ guy right now. But it was a bad take. CJ Stroud is like one of the top in odds and MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, all that fun stuff, and I think he'll continue his meteoric rise.
I only say that because that was a good sight into the future there with a young quarterback, and I think we're going to have the same thing kind of play out this year with the whole Caleb Williams discussion.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to be right back up here.
That's just absurd.
Next year at this time, it's going to be like,
you didn't even pick a guy from this draft class. But not that, like, you don't have like a guy that you think. So
I don't think any of them are good.
Okay, who do you think is the best of the rookie bunch? This transitioned into a weird discussion. Just say it. You want to say it. You want to say him.
I think he has the most outright talent, but I don't think he's going to be good.
Whoa, dude.
I think he's the best of the bunch, but I don't think
next 10 years. Next 10 years, him or Jaden Daniels.
You could make the argument for Jaden Daniels.
You could.
Yeah.
Him or Drake May.
I'd probably lean Drake May. Slightly.
That's absurd.
Slightly.
In New England?
I think he's going to hang on. I think he's going to hang on a bit longer.
They're still playing like stickball up there. They're so archaic. Get out of here. Anyway, hit number 2 here. Joe Schoen, the GM of the Giants, I feel like he's finally waking up to the Daniel Jones reality. And maybe he's been awake for a while, but at least publicly he's kind of waking up. Went out publicly saying that this is the year where Daniel Jones has to prove if he's the next guy for the next decade. Because this is the year where, yes, we'll roll with him, or no, we're moving on. Basically, is what Shane said.
You had to say it at some point.
Well, you had to. I think they probably knew that. They probably knew that. But to hear it publicly just kind of confirms what we've been saying, is that they're out on Daniel Jones. We don't actually view him as a real legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. And I feel like the Giants are now publicly starting to move that direction.
Yeah. We just dealt with the New York Giants crowd on YouTube recently. We posted a video about Daniel Jones. Very split right now. A lot of them are like, you're right, at least we're going to get the first draft pick. And then a lot of them are like, you don't know anything about ball.
Yeah, you're right. No, Daniel Jones is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Now I know ball. Guys, Daniel Jones is legendary. Thank God I know ball now.
New Yorkers.
I was literally thinking that I'm like, we should like rename this podcast the We Don't Know Ball. If the viewers got to name this podcast, they would name it the We Don't Know Ball podcast, because that's the number one comment we get. Yeah. And it blows my mind, because it's like, you're right. No. You're right. Daniel Jones is totally that guy. Thanks, Sean 1776. Like, thanks, guy.
Yeah.
Like,
thanks, Civil War fanatic 6969.
Yeah. No. You're right. Daniel Jones is the guy. Can you give me my gold star now? Miss number 2 here. I figured a new regime with the Patriots, speaking of Drake May, would start to grow up a little bit, and then they signed Ramondre Stevenson, a running back, to big money, and you haven't signed probably your best player, Matthew Judon, the edge rusher.
Which is a big problem.
That's a way better and more valuable position than Ramondre Stevenson at running back. So I just feel like they keep making the same mistakes. New regime, old mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's not like it's a smart decision. We talked about this a little bit last week, I think. We touched on it. It was just...
It's bad.
Why?
Yeah, it's bad. Hit number 3 here. My guy's head coach, Matt Eberflus, tops the list in terms of betting favorites to win Coach of the Year for the preseason odds here. I'm telling you what, I don't love Eberflus as a head coach, but when you look at the numbers after they got Montez Sweat in the trade, the defense was a lot better. That's his side of the football, so that's good. If he can handle that, we know for a fact Patrick Mahomes 2.0 is going to be able to handle the offensive side of the football, so we should be good.
You said what? What'd you call him?
Caleb Williams.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I said Patrick Mahomes 2.0.
That's wild.
Or should I say that guy?
Oh, that's wild.
That guy.
The amount that you're backing him. Dude, if he doesn't... Okay, I'm just saying this just to help you out. If he doesn't pan out, you're going to have to go into hiding for a while.
No, it's okay. No. Even if he doesn't look great this year, it's going to pan out. Don't you worry.
All right.
It's going to pan out. He's going to look great this year, but it's going to pan out.
All right, okay.
It's going to pan out long term. Hit number 4 here. That's right.
Number 4.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I couldn't find another miss. We've been that good. Now, to be fair, I'm throwing some saucy takes out there, so there's going to be a lot of ammunition for hits and misses during the season once we kind of see how this all shakes out. But hit number 4 here. The Cowboys, I went out saying that I think they're going to be a sub-500 team, and I said it for years, right? I said it with the Cardinals during the Kyler dispute. Noise does not equal success. In fact, I think there is an inverse relationship.
Yes.
The more noise that you have, the less success that you have.
Yep.
That's right. I can pull out some stats knowledge.
A negative
I did
R
graduate
squared
from
value.
college.
A negative R squared.
I did, I swear to God.
How about that?
Even though I don't know ball, I do know statistics, evidently. Not very well, but I do know them. The Cowboys, Malik Hooker going out and calling out Micah Parsons, Dak's in a walking, but it's like, when is it going to stop? Maybe never. Maybe never.
It's just the amount of noise, the amount of drama. I just can't see anything good coming out of that team right now.
So we have another minute. Is it because of they're just actually a drama-filled team, or is it because they're just like normal amount of drama, but they just get covered so much more?
I think the coverage aspect has something to do with it. I mean,
I would say it's probably a little bit of both. I think they are a chaotic organization, but I think it also...
I think some of the chaos stems from the amount of drama that is created because there's so much created on them. Like, there's a lot to pull from. You know what I mean?
Fair. Guys, that's the end of the first segment. That's hits and misses. Make sure you go back and listen to my rant on the Steelers. And I actually did a blind resume game. You'll kind of be surprised when you go look at the stats. Don't go anywhere, though. We will have the NFC West divisional predictions up next, followed by a Lamar Jackson discussion. Welcome back in. Thursday, 11th?
The 11th, yes.
Sure. All right. July 11th. We are back with yet another episode of The Issue. Second segment. If you missed the first one, go back and listen. I talked a little bit about the Steelers. Cam Sutton suspended for 8 games. If you're a Steelers fan or just a fan of football in general, drop your thoughts in the comments on what happened, with them signing him getting suspended, all that fun stuff. Then we got into hits and misses. This segment, we will have the NFC West divisional predictions, week 1 of 8 of divisional predictions. Here for the next, 8 weeks.
Yep.
We'll be doing a divisional prediction each week. This week is the NFC West. Next week will be the AFC West. We'll, of course, get into some superlatives there. So we'll give you an MVP, an offensive player, defensive player, breakout, coach of the year. Then we'll talk a little bit about Lamar and the Ravens, the outlook for the season. And then finally we'll have last call where I'm going to kick his ass in a cookie draft.
That's not true. I know my cookies.
No, we'll see. Anyway, no matter how you got here, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Prime Music, iHeartRadio, all that fun stuff, we appreciate you getting here to consume the content.
Yeah. A lot of avenues, guys. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow along with the show because we are going to be getting into, just content heaven here as we approach the NFL season, and now that we have the divisional predictions, it's only going to get better. One of the favorite things that we do here on the show. But It is time to start. The NFC West divisional predictions. Where are these teams going to end up? What are their records going to be? And also some superlatives. So some MVP, the offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year, the breakout player, and of course the coach of the division. Let's go.
We'll go and start. I almost forget. Do we go from the bottom up?
So let's go bottom up. Yeah, we'll go
I feel
bottom
like
up.
Divisions, we usually go top down. No?
No, bottom up. Let's
Okay.
go.
I would go with the Cardinals in the basement here. I think they're about a 7-win team. I think they're going to be a feisty 7-win team.
Yeah.
Like, I think Kyler Murray's got a lot of talent. On any given Sunday, Kyler Murray can outplay you. We saw that when he came to Pittsburgh. We saw that when he went to Philadelphia, I think a week or two later, right? Like, any given Sunday, Kyler Murray can outplay you. I just worry about the roster around him, young coaching staff, young roster, inexperienced. Can they do that week after week? My answer would probably be no, more weeks than not. So I think that's their main problem is the consistency of it. I think they have a ton of talent. I think Marvin Harrison's going to look really good. I like Michael Wilson, the wide receiver. I like Kyler Murray a ton. I think there's a lot to work with, and I think they are heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if week after week they have the consistent, proven NFL talent to be able to do it at a high level.
And the resiliency too, right? Because you have to look at Kyler for what he is. Is he special, and can he move better than pretty much anybody in the league? For sure. Like, he has that about him and that elusiveness. But also, what are you going to get with that? He's undersized, so you have to maybe plan for an injury. You don't know how the team's going to respond to injury. It's not a very deep roster either, so I do worry that if a couple pieces go down, things can start to spiral. It's just, I don't know, even if they do get some momentum, I think there's a stretch in that schedule where we have them winning maybe 4 or 5 games in a row, like kind of towards the back half of the schedule.
The Panthers in that. They have like Seattle, which we think they're going to split.
They have a very easy stretch.
Sure.
I don't think that's going to be momentum that they're going to be able to ride through, though.
That's fair. Let's go to number 3 here. I think the Seahawks are a clear-cut 3. I think if there's going to be argument, it's going to be with these two bottom teams. I think Seattle has a lot of the pieces. They have a lot of young guys they're not paying yet, especially in the secondary and on defense.
Yeah.
Of course, you have DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett. 2 of the 3 you're paying. Smith and Jigba you are not, so that's good. 2 young running backs that you're not paying. The offensive line is young. So they kind of have what it takes this year, next year. Like, they're in this little bit of a window with the young guys that are not paying yet, where they can go acquire a big-name quarterback, yet they haven't. It's still Geno Smith. And I think, to me, that's what's holding them back. I think the roster is worthy of more than 9-8, and I don't think Geno's a bad quarterback, but I think to win 10, 11, 12 games, you have to have a guy that's very clearly like a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think Geno's very clearly like, 18, 19, 20th, somewhere around there, and I just don't think it's going to be good enough to get them to the playoffs. I think they're going to just miss out at 9-8. Good roster, good first year for Mike McDonald, the new head coach, former DC of the Ravens. A lot of progress to build on. I just think the next step for them is to go big game hunting on a quarterback.
Yeah, I like the roster. Like, overall, I do love the roster, but the season and how they finish is gonna be completely dependent on how Geno Smith plays.
Sure.
Now, if he plays really well, we have them at 9-8. Would it surprise you if Geno has a really good year? He doesn't really do anything wrong. They win 10 games, maybe 11. Maybe they're competing with the Rams if the Rams slip up a little bit.
I don't think it's crazy.
But I think it's solely dependent on Geno Smith's performance this year, is based on how they're going to finish.
Okay, do you think it'd be crazy with a new coach, new scheme, all that, for them to then on the flip side finish with like 7 wins?
No,
and be
I don't.
Fighting with the Cardinals for 3rd.
No, because then that's the other thing. If Geno Smith comes out and absolutely shits all over himself this year, I don't see them doing anything well.
I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 here, the Rams. We're a lot higher on the Rams than most people are. I think the Vegas win total is like 7.5, which I think is wild. It's one of my favorite bets on the board is Rams over. 11-6 feels right to me. Look, big coach quarterback league. We've said this 1,000 times. We've done head coach rankings. We've done quarterback rankings. I think it may have been last year we did a head coach quarterback combo rankings. And McVay and Stafford, I think they're number 2 in the league in our eyes. I think the last time we did it. Reed, Mahomes, and then these guys here at number 2. I think they're going to go into at least 13 or 14 games next year with a coach quarterback advantage.
Yep.
Even if they go, I think they either go to Buffalo or Buffalo comes to them. Either way, is Josh Allen maybe better than Stafford? Yeah, maybe, probably a little bit better at this stage in his career. But if I combine McVay and Stafford or McDermott and Allen, I would take McVay Stafford almost every day.
Yeah, it's really tough to pick against the team that has the better duo when it comes to the coach and the quarterback. The two most important spots, arguably.
I would absolutely agree to that.
And so, I mean, it's going to be a direct reflection. I think that's why the Rams have kind of the connotation around them that when you say their name, you're like, okay, you immediately think Sean McVay, and you immediately think like you're going to get out schemed.
Yep, you think McVay Stafford, and I think part of the 11-6 is relying on young guys to improve. They had two young guys on the defensive front, right? Kobe Turner being one of them. They had guys on the offensive front. They drafted a couple more guys. They have young running backs. So Puka Nacua, right? Like, we're assuming that their trajectory continues. If not, it wouldn't shock me if they were like a 9-10 win team.
If they took a slight step back.
Sure, but I think if these young guys can play, I think they are firmly in the Super Bowl bubble. That's a hot take.
Super Bowl bubble.
That's a hot take. I think so.
Okay.
I think so because on a one-game scenario, they should have probably beat the Lions last year.
All right, they sneak into the playoffs. I'll give them that, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Okay.
You have to figure out
11-6 is more than sneaking. That's a 5 spot easily. They'll clinch that early on. But anyway, number 1 here, Niners at 12-5. Look, I know it's not the hottest pick. I know this isn't the most, crazy outlandish order here for this division, but this is clearly the best roster in football. Period, end of story.
We like to be right. We don't like to go to a ton of clicks on bullshit.
I think the issue is injuries because the first 6 games they only play one playoff team, well, from last year, but still, that's kind of what we have to go on here. 5 of their first 6 games are against non-playoff teams. That's pretty good. The concern is, can they stay healthy through those first 6? Because the remaining 11 games, 8 of them are against playoff teams from last year. So it's going to get tough down the stretch. And the 3 that they don't play, the 3 non-playoff teams that they play at the last 11 games, Bears, who we know are going to be better. I know you're not a Caleb guy, but they're going to be better.
They're going to be better.
They're going to be better. Seattle and Arizona, who are both in division and feisty teams, like we just said. So 12-5 with the caveat that they have to stay healthy, which I know that's the case for most teams, but this team especially, they're aging and they have a ton of high-end talent, not a ton of depth.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So to run back through, we have the 49ers in first with 12-5, the Rams in second at 11-6, the Seahawks in third at 9-8, and the Cardinals finishing at the bottom of the division at 7-10, but a feisty 7-10 at that. I think we both think Kyler will end up being pretty decent this year, just not consistent enough to get out of the basement there.
I can't lie, that this feels like one of the easier divisions for us to predict.
It is.
I don't know.
We always have to revise this one. That's the thing, though, because we do it so early. We give ourselves 3 revisions at the end of the divisional predictions, and the NFC West is always one of them. But always pretty correct once the season actually shakes out. But let's go superlatives. So we have MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Breakout Player, and Coach of the Division. So let's start off with MVP.
I would say Christian McCaffrey, and I don't understand how you couldn't say Christian McCaffrey. I mean, look at their offense when he got there, like 2 years ago, last year, and then obviously, going into this season, he's a beast. Mm-hmm. He's a beast. He's going to be a 300 carry guy. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a 25, touch a game type of guy. Fantastic. One of my favorite players to watch in the league.
Yeah, very explosive. Can turn something into nothing, or nothing into something.
Something. I was gonna say, damn. All right, so talk some shit. Something into nothing.
Dang.
Yeah, no, nothing into something.
Yeah, I got what you
meant, though.
I appreciate.
I got what you meant. Yeah.
Okay, Offensive Player of the Year.
I would go Puka Nacua. I think he's gonna take a massive step forward. I think he's fantastic, and I don't think he actually got enough work with Stafford last offseason. Stafford elbow thing going into last season. I think with a whole year under their belt, a whole offseason under their belt where Stafford's healthy, I think it's going to be fantastic. Him and Cooper Kupp are going to be vying for that number 1 spot. Mm-hmm. And I think because of Cooper Kupp, that's why Puka can be that much better. If Cooper Kupp's healthy, he's still going to demand a ton of attention from the defense. And you have Puka Nacua, they're going to be able to run the football. I think he's going to have a massive year. I'm going to predict 1,600 yards.
Ooh. How many touchdowns?
I'm going to go 1,500 yards. Sorry, 1,500 yards. Oh, touchdowns. I'm going to go 11.
Okay.
And 106 catches. Pretty good amount.
That's a damn good
Pretty
season.
Good amount.
It is
and
a
here's
damn
what's
good
wild
season.
is I think Cooper Kupp's going to be somewhere close to that too. I think Cooper Kupp's going to have like 1,200 yards, 92 catches and, 8 touchdowns.
Makes the job
I think
easy.
it's going to be a
on
really good 1-2 punch.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year.
Fred Warner. We were going through the guys. I'm like, like Buda Baker maybe, but not really. He's a safety. We don't value safety a ton.
Well, plus he's a good safety, but comparatively with other people in the division.
Sure, and then like Nick Bosa, maybe he's probably in that same discussion. But I think Fred Warner is easily the best linebacker in football, and for that reason, he has to be the Defensive Player of the Year for this division.
I like it. Big spot. All right, Breakout Player.
I'm going Michael Wilson. He's 6'2" wide receiver out of Stanford. Plays for the Cardinals. For those who don't know. I think him and Marvin Harrison are going to be a good 1-2 punch. He's a little bit more of a possession guy. He's going to go up and get it. Marvin's going to be a little more of a route runner, tactician, yards after the catch. I think Michael Wilson will be a good contrast with that. Now, breakout for him, I don't have his stats pulled up. He wasn't a 1,000-yard guy. So, I'm not saying he's going to be the best wide receiver in football, but compared to his numbers last year, compared to impact on winning last year to this year, I think you're going to see a big difference.
Okay.
Now I'm curious as to his stats last year, real quick. Sorry, I know we have a little bit of time. Yeah, 565 yards, so nothing too crazy. 3 touchdowns. So I'll say 950 yards. 8 touchdowns. He had 38 catches. I'm going to go 64 catches.
Okay.
So I think he's going to roughly double his output. I think that's really good.
All right. Coach of the division.
Kyle Shanahan. I think he's the best coach.
Do we need much of an explanation there?
Not particularly. I think it's close with McVay, but I think Shanahan is a slightly better coach. Slightly right now.
Well, right now. He's been to the big dance more recently.
Well, yeah, for sure.
So
to be fair though, McVay's won it. But no,
that's also fair.
We're in agreement. I think Shanahan's the guy, but I think it's close.
100%. There's 2 very good coaches in this division. They fight it out twice a year. Give us the treat in the NFC West, so that's good. Run us back through the superlatives.
Christian McCaffrey at MVP. Puka Nacua at Offensive Player of the Year. A little bit of a hot take there, I think. Defensive Player of the Year, Fred Warner. Breakout, Michael Wilson, receiver for the Cardinals. And then Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan.
Love it, man. Yeah. That is the NFC West. The first division down, 1 of 8. So definitely good. Feels good to be back and talking 2024-2025 NFL football.
Feels great.
Never bad.
Feels great. I can't wait for the AFC West next week, right?
AFC West, cool. Yes.
Cool. I think we know who's going to be first.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are pretty firmly in the number 1 spot.
Sure. Little radio tease. All right, Cookies draft.
No, we talk Lamar Jackson now.
Oh, dude, I almost forgot. Me. I'm sorry. I scrolled down. I didn't even see my thing. You're right. Lamar Jackson. No. The reason I wanted to talk about Lamar Jackson is because Mark Schlereth, he's a former lineman for, I think, the Broncos. For the Broncos back in the 90s. And is still a radio personality in Denver, mostly covering the Broncos, is an adamant, this is kind of a sidebar, an adamant Russell Wilson, I don't want to say hater, but just not a fan. But he came out and said that Lamar Jackson is a little bit mediocre.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, mostly in the playoffs, he said. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, probably should have, but whatever, that's fine. But he came out and said, Lamar Jackson in the playoffs is mediocre. He gives his completion percentage, his this, his that. So which is weird because Cam Newton was like, he's the best dual threat ever. And then Mark Schlereth's like, he's mediocre. So we got 2 polar stories here for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So it got me thinking, I'm like, what is my view on Lamar? Because I've been very, I would say early on, realistic on Lamar. It's like, okay, he's good, but there's a ton of growth to be had for him to be a legitimate NFL quarterback. Now I've been more pro Lamar because I think people bang on him too much for lost in the playoffs and we only threw for this many yards or whatever. And I say, he wins 80% of his games. So he can't be that bad because at the end of the day, winning has to matter, right? I'm not a huge Brock Purdy guy, but if Brock Purdy goes and rips off another 13-win season and gets him back to the NFC Championship game, it's like, I don't really care how it looks. Is he winning, right? It's like the Hunter Pence argument in baseball. It's like, I know he looks like dog shit when he does it, but he just hit 280. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do here? At the end of the day, football more than anything, basketball can have some style to it. And baseball, it's very statistical driven. And the NFL, it's like, hey, did you win? Yes or no? If you win consistently as a quarterback, you're going to have a job. End of story, right? So for all of Lamar's criticisms, I know that he hasn't been great in the playoffs. He wins 80% of his starts in the regular season, and it goes up to like 84 when you include everything not named Patrick Mahomes on their sideline, which is like, I don't know, the same thing for everybody else in the league, right? Mahomes beats everybody. So Lamar is a good quarterback. So there's my defense of Lamar. Now let's be realistic. I think I'm fair with Lamar on both sides, right? One of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, really successful, would have paid him, should be paid, is easily a top 5 quarterback. I think we had him at like 3 or 4 when we just did it. But on the realistic side of things, yeah, he's probably got about another year or two for him to actually make noise in the playoffs, or else he becomes like Dak or Kirk Cousins, right? He's a more dynamic Dak or Kirk Cousins, but he's kind of viewed in that same category, right? Like right now he's so young, we're like, well, he'll be fine. He'll figure it out in the playoffs. But that's what we said about Dak and Kirk and Jared Goff for the longest time before he made another run, right? It's like, okay, that's good. That's great. I'm glad you're the MVPs and the regular season success. You're getting the 1 seed, 2 seed, whatever. But you're still young, right? So we'll let the playoff failure slide. He's 1 or 2 more years from it being not even I don't want to say picking on him, not even banging on him, but more just like, okay, the reality is he's Kirk Cousins. Reality is he's Dak Prescott, but moves a lot better. That's the reality of the situation. Cowboys have won 12 games the past 3 years. The discussion's always like, hey, can Dak do it in the playoffs? The answer's always been no. It's starting to feel like that a little bit with Lamar. I don't think he's there yet because he's so much more dynamic. He's a lot younger. He's still getting better. But he's a year or 2 removed from it just being like, well, the reality is, man, just not a playoff winning quarterback. So, hey, we'll pay you. You're going to make the franchise relevant. You're going to win a ton of games. But look, we're not going to be fooled into thinking that we're going to have this illustrious playoff success.
Yeah, you can see like the hesitancy with the Baltimore front office in that decision making there, where it's, hey, look, like we have some grievances. We're not just blindly going to throw money at you.
Yeah.
Like we like the way you play in the regular season. The way you play normally is fine, but then when we get to the playoffs, like where do you go?
Well, twice he's been injured, and then when he has played, it's been like like we're saying. Like Mark Schiller said, mediocre.
Yeah.
Complete 57% of his passes in the playoffs.
But I do think Lamar's a really good quarterback. I mean, he's always, I think, going to be in the top 5, barring anything crazy.
Well, for now.
Yes.
For now. But, like, what if for the next 2 years he goes 11-6, 12-5, but both years he's 1-2 in the playoffs. Okay, so he wins a wild card round, and then he gets bounced in divisional round.
He'd still be a top 10 guy, but
top 10.
But
so we would view him a lot closer to like Dak than we would Mahomes, though. Because right now he's closer to Mahomes than he is Dak.
For sure. But like, I'd make the argument that now he's even closer to Dak than he is Mahomes. Like you have to win. You have to win to be close to Mahomes.
You know who I was going to throw out there? Completely different styles of play. Jared Goff wins a lot.
Been there, lost.
Sure, talented. Yeah.
Not enough to get it done in the playoffs, though.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. Again, very different styles of play.
Yeah.
So now. Obviously, so we view him as a top 5 quarterback. Is he one of the? Would you take a call on him if you were Baltimore?
No,
okay,
absolutely not.
Okay, I agree.
Not.
Because me and you both separate him into trucks and trailers, or would take a call.
He's a
would
truck.
Not take a call.
He's a truck, and I would not take a call.
Okay, I would agree.
Yeah.
What about like Trevor Lawrence? Would you take a call?
If I was the GM in Jacksonville,
yes,
I'd think about it.
Okay,
I'd think about it. I'm not going to say I'd feel good about it.
What about Dak?
But yeah, I'd take a call.
Tua?
I'd take a call.
Jared Goff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Goff is a little more stable.
Sure.
Either way, that's good. And the fact that you can say all that about Lamar with a Steelers helmet on the desk says a lot, too.
I think I'm fair.
Not biased.
I think I'm fair. I think I feel like I see both sides of it. Like I would pay him. I would trade the next 3 Steelers first-round picks for him. If I, as a Steelers fan, I'd give him 3 firsts.
Makes it a lot easier to be a Steelers fan, though, because every time we play them,
he's
TJ
bad
Watt just
against
eats
us.
him up.
He's bad against us.
Either way, Lamar, pretty solid quarterback. Just get it done in the playoffs, my man, and you will be cemented up there with
I'm not going to lie. As long as it's not against us, I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind
I can root for somebody. He works hard. He gets better. Like, I can root for it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Now Cookies draft.
Last call.
Let's go.
Cookies draft. You're pretty hype. You seem like you have a pretty good draft board.
So ready. Don't you peek at this draft board. You wish, son.
That's okay. I got my own.
There's only like a certain amount of cookies, so I'm thinking we have some overlap here on the draft board.
There's a fine.
What are we doing? 4 rounds again?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
You guys-
With the first overall pick, not a surprise to anybody, chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
Of course.
Like a normal chocolate chip cookie.
normal chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
Like, pick your brand of the Break and Bake, the Toll House, the Ghirardelli, your grandmother's homemade recipe. We're talking standard.
The tubs that you get
Sure.
where you scoop them out.
We're talking
too.
standard chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, I like that.
It's the only pick here.
That's like when you.
To me, it's the only
That's
pick.
like when we do pizza toppings and you pick pepperoni because you
Yes.
have to. Or
yes, because it's
you know, it's a good idea for a draft. I just thought about it. Write it down. Combos draft, like peanut butter and jelly, like one of the best combos.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Anyway, I digress. My first round pick, also using chocolate chips, but different, oatmeal chocolate chip. I love an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie.
That's just absurd.
What?
Is that even a thing?
Yes, an oatmeal raisin, but instead of raisins, you have chocolate chips.
I mean, it's slightly better.
No, it's very
So,
good.
so I will say, okay, you know what? Actually, I can vibe with it.
That's a good pick.
Okay, my number 2, and I'm going to do some explaining, is a monster cookie. For those who don't know what a monster cookie is, it's kind of like the same base of chocolate chip cookie dough, and then you add some oatmeal, you add
Yep.
peanut butter, but then you also just kind of throw the kitchen sink at it. You throw some M&Ms in there. You throw, if you like nuts, throw some nuts in there, some walnuts or peanuts or pecans, whatever your heart desires. You just kind of throw some shit in there. It's throwing the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah.
There's only, like, again, some certain things you have to have. You have the chocolate chips, the M&Ms, the peanut butter, the oatmeal.
I have had those.
So I would go Monster as my 2. My grandmother makes a fantastic one, so I may be a little biased.
I've had the ones from your grandmother, and they
Fire.
are fantastic.
Unbelievable.
That's a good pick. So what, you have chocolate chip and monster cookies. I'm going to go ahead with my second pick. I already have oatmeal chocolate chip. I'm going to take Snickerdoodle at number 2.
That's not even close to oatmeal chocolate chip.
I didn't say it was going to be close to
That was the segue. You said, I already have oatmeal chocolate chip. I thought you were going to be like,
No,
so
so-
I'll take oatmeal raisin. And I was like, thank God.
No. Number 2, I'm taking Snickerdoodle.
Good, because Snickerdoodle is my 3. I can't lie.
Snickerdoodle is
Can't
so
lie.
good.
I can't lie, it's my
If I
3.
see that on a cookie plate around the holidays,
They're good.
they are gone.
They're good.
They're gone.
They're really good. They're really good. Yeah. I think I can get the, you know what? I think this is good value in the number 3 slot. I'm going to go with a Kiss cookie.
Oh, you
Yeah.
didn't. That was mine.
Yeah.
Those
And
are
if you guys don't
solid.
know what a Kiss cookie is, we can't be friends. Go figure it out.
Oh,
that one doesn't
those
even
are
need
so
explanation.
good.
Unbelievable.
Those are so good.
Unbelievable. Now, do you eat it with the Kiss in there, or do you take the
You
Kiss
take
out?
the
and eat
kiss out like a
it?
normal person.
Thank you.
And you eat them
And
separately.
now you may ask them, what's the point? Just try it and you understand.
And plus the combo, because the kiss sits in there for long enough, it automatically
like a-
tastes like chocolate. It like absorbs it.
Yeah, and like the Kiss is a different texture than
Yeah,
the normal
it
one.
goes
It's
down
like
really
A little
easy.
softer.
Yep.
Kind of tastes like a hot chocolate, but in a Hershey Kiss form.
Oh, it's so good.
Anyway, you're 3.
I'm gonna go with good old fashioned sugar cookie. I think around the holidays, you
Yeah.
get them, you make them into the shapes. Even if
Sure.
you don't make them into the shapes, if they're just circles and you got a little icing on there. I'm not a big icing guy, so if you go a light coat of icing, I like raw dog. I like to just raw dog sugar cookies.
How about
Like,
no icing, a little bit of sprinkle?
Little sprinkles. Good.
Sure, some decorative sprinkles.
Little sprinkles,
Yeah,
good. So that's mine. I'm taking the sugar cookie.
sure. I don't think that's crazy. You know, I'm stuck between 2 here. I got one holiday one and one that's a fringe cookie. To be honest with you,
There. A fringe
a
cookie.
fringe cookie. And I'll talk about it after. That's going to be an honorable mention because I'm going to go a gingerbread man as my number 4. Very festive. I think part of the fun of it is the decoration of it. Very similar to your sugar cookie. I think it's more than a cookie. It's an experience.
It's an experience.
It's a family tradition. It's a
Yeah.
holiday tradition. And it's a good cookie at the same time. So I'm going to go a gingerbread man.
Okay, I like that. Gosh, I don't know. I'm like between the last couple here. You know, I'm gonna go with it because one that's very well made is a pinwheel cookie. Have you had those?
Oh, love a pinwheel cookie.
Pinwheel cookie, I think in the last spot's really good.
Love a pinwheel
I was
cookie.
between that and since you can't steal any picks anymore, those pumpkin cookies, the one with the orange icing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those ones are solid, but I think those fall just a little bit after just because those are a little too pigeonholed into one part of the season. I feel like,
I think it's a fair assessment.
especially being from Pittsburgh, we're big cookie table people. When there's a wedding around here, we have a cookie table.
Cookie
We don't
table.
have cake.
Yep.
So,
Well, some
our
have
cookies in
both.
Pittsburgh.
The best is when they have both.
The best is both.
Absolute best. My honorable mention that's borderline a cookie is a no bake.
Oh, no big solid.
No
I
bakes
would
are
let
good.
that slide. Is that the one that you were on the fringe with?
I was on the fringe between that and a gingerbread, and I was like, is it even a cookie?
Yeah, it's a cookie, but
I'd say it's a cookie.
it's a little
It's
more.
not a baked good.
It's a progressive cookie.
Stunning.
A little progressive.
Stunning.
All right, that's it.
Get us out of here.
That's all we have. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you stopping by. That was the first week of divisional predictions for this year, so make sure you come back next week. We'll have the AFC West. We'll have more football to talk, of course. But, guys, thank you very much. Go follow, go subscribe, and that was The Issue.